I will say, although there have been strides to not require people to go get degrees, there's been a little bit of power struggle. First it was certs. First it wasn't certs, it's skills and degrees. Now it's maybe going a little bit back to degrees because of, I saw a post someone tagged me the other day, easy way that you can attain a cert in a sense has kind of devalued them. Don't get me wrong, you still should get them because they introduce you to the information. But I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes schooling can be a better route in the long haul. Yo, man, in this whole tech journey, really journey of life, your career, every different thing we got that's going on in our journey, man, when we're going through it or trying to get to the destination, everything seems so far. But the time that goes by goes like this. I remember like yesterday, it was 7 years ago? Yeah, 7 years ago. I remember yesterday. Get in my car, coming to Dallas, and jamming that Views by Drake. And that was like the real start of my career. The first 2 years was all right. But even going through all those different things just seemed like so long. And now from that time, 7 years has went in the blink of an eye. So I want to start this pod off with like, if you're still trying to get to that level, just keep on going. It's not going to be easy, but eventually once you get to a certain level and you keep on progressing, you're going to look back at it as like, man, time went by fast. He was right. I'm so consumed with what I see on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok that I'm just not focusing on what I want to do. So I just want y'all to look into that. And I want to start this pod off for, my Patreon people and the audio listeners. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Techtual Talk Podcast. Well, I'm your host, HD. I'm a cybersecurity professional, career coach, content creator, and much, much more. This is episode 91 of the Techtual Talk Podcast. And today we'll be talking about some topics that y'all probably would think that I'm against. But the main topic today is going to be about why college can be beneficial. So if you're still with us on YouTube, go on and hit that like button, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit all when it comes to notifications so you can be notified of every time we're dropping something, especially for the pod. Now, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other streaming service, please follow the podcast, leave us a review. It really helps us out in the algorithm. And if you like the information that we're sharing, please share it out to someone who you think may need it. Now, I'm going to preface this because I know people were giving me such a hard time. We're talking about education and not education. And prefacing it as well, people know that I am college educated. I have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, and I have a master's in IT management. Now, I got those because I didn't know what to do at the time to get where I wanted to get. So I always tell people, I'm not against school, but as you can also see with the news now, with them trying to repeal student loan forgiveness and all the stuff where the price of school goes up and up, yet they'll give you a whole bunch of loan money, but it doesn't assure you get a job. You have to be so smart and strategic when it comes to that. But a lot of us don't know about it because, truth be told, some of us are first generation college students. So how could you know what to look for? But in today's episode, I kind of have some points that I'm going to talk about why college can be beneficial to you and why you should actually go into college. So one of the interesting stats that I found, and I also know this because I do work with a lot of clients, some college educated, some aren't. And I got this stat from San Diego University. I think they have a program that's online, but it says around 88% of jobs, specifically in, cybersecurity, require a degree. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I will say, although there have been strides to not require people to go get degrees, there's been a little bit of power struggle. First it was certs. First it wasn't certs, it's skills and degrees. Now it's maybe going a little bit back to degrees because of, I saw a post someone tagged me the other day, the easy way that you can attain a cert in a sense has kind of devalued them. Don't get me wrong, you still should get them because they introduce you to the information. But I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes schooling can be a better route in the long haul. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. So, all right, so the benefits of college. Number one, the first one is pretty simple. It checks a box for HR. A lot of people hate that if they don't have a degree, they automatically sometimes get dismissed because some of them will say, hey, must have a degree. Those typically suck. I've seen those a lot in sometimes government roles, state roles, city roles. And sometimes they know you could do about it. Now, it does help you if you did go to school, because when you go to school, sometimes you're missing out on the opportunity cost of actually already having real working world experience. So it's like delayed gratification. So that's one of the easy ones. It's a check in the box, and it's pretty much one of the things that can still help you and not hinder you when it comes to your job search. Let's get to number two. Number two would be higher earnings. Now, it says people with a bachelor's degree tend to make an extra 20K per people with a bachelor's degree tend to make an extra 22K more per year versus just a high school diploma. For STEM degree holders, typically their starting salaries are around 70K. So this is one of the reasons why I do advocate for people to do, if they're going to go to school, get a STEM degree, because these jobs typically pay more than regular jobs. One, because there's a need of them, especially when it comes to us. A lot of us are not in these majors. If you go into some of these classrooms, it may be one or two of us, unless you go to maybe like an HBCU. But for the most part, if you're at a PWI, you know that's not a lot of us. And a lot of this is also reflected in the real working world. When you go to different companies, you don't see a lot of us on certain teams. So there's always a need for us. Definitely get you a STEM degree, because it will pay off. Maybe not in the beginning. Now they average that out. So I'm not going to say everybody's going to start off making 70K, but I think in 2023, that should be a standard at least, especially if you're going to go into all that debt. So that's number two about higher earnings. And I know for the people that are listening or watching, I know people that got a high school degree that make more people than bachelors or college and yada, yada, yada. That is a exception to the rule. That's not the majority. If we look at the data, we already know most people that are educated tend to fare better when it comes to employment. I mean, that is true. All right. So one of the things I put down is networking. Networking. Now, you always hear me talk about this, especially when it comes to your job search, and about why it's not about what you know, but who knows you. When you go to college, you get introduced to many different people from many different areas of different walks of life, which this can benefit you when it comes to your job search. So I always tell people, as fun as it is, like you claim to be antisocial and you don't want to meet people, your absolute goal in college is to get out and meet people. You never know who you're going to meet 10 years from now, or go try to work somewhere and they remember you. Or I'm not going to lie, sometimes I've reached out to people on LinkedIn before. Some people probably just reached out to me because of this, but alumni sometimes want to hire you just because you went to that school, you know? So it's one of those things where people try to look out for each other if they went to the same school, and they'll probably say, whatever your school saying was, or remember something. Like I probably would, like if I seen somebody came across my desk with like an LA Tech resume or University of Dallas, I probably would look into them just off the strength that we went to the same schools, and I know the caliber of students that come through there. So that's a big one. I didn't network nearly as enough as I should have, but I did always network, because people now will tell me I've always been able to be a person to have a good conversation. So that's one of those things too that people should work on, is like skills on talking skills, how to talk to people. It's very simple. You don't have to be overbearing. You don't have to do too much. You literally can just say, hey, how you doing? Oh, my name's so-and-so. Like for me, it's I'm from Shreveport. Where you from? Oh, my major is CIS. My major is this. Okay, cool. And then we might see each other in the intramural, or back in the day, used to be the red tables, and just go from there. Just like, a warm communication, to where eventually if y'all get to hanging out more, you never know what that turns into. So this is another one, showing companies commitment. Or I wrote down showing companies commitment, but maybe it's like showing companies you can complete something, because most of us know finishing college is not easy. Now, you do have some programs that are easier than others, because you can just go at your own pace, and if it's largely online, that's a benefit, where you can just do all your homework when you can. But a curriculum, you see that syllabus every semester, every quarter, it's not easy to get through. There's so many people that start with you in that freshman year that don't make it. So I witnessed that personally. So the fact that you can do your 3-4 years, sometimes it takes you a little bit longer than others, but if you can get through that shows them, okay, determination. They can get through a rigorous program and pass. That's really what you want to do. I tell people all the time, C's get degrees. Now, C's don't get you internships, which I'll talk about in a second, but they do get you degrees, because after you graduate, your GPA is going to be less important unless the role is specifying your GPA. So I don't want you to get hung up on your GPA too much. Get what you can out of school and go from there. speaking of, the next one actually is internships. So internships is big. You should be trying to get internships from the moment you walk on the campus. What happens is, and I'm doing something different. I have another younger brother who just graduated, who's going to be in college this year. And the benefit of the kids now is he was in dual enrollment. So I think he has almost like sophomore. I think he's probably almost like a sophomore, if not a sophomore in college already, just based off hours alone. And so what I've been having him do is I'm having him do the AWS Cloud Practitioner, or he either is doing Azure 900. Reason being, once he gets that certification and learns about the cloud, I'm going to feed him stuff that he can work on that could be project based. So when career fairs come around, or now in the fall when it's time to apply for internships, he has stuff on there. He'll already have a good GPA and he can get an internship. That's honestly how you do. Because if you get an internship early on your freshman year or whatever year you're in, sometimes they ask you to come back, or you can go to different places. And now you've gotten 2 or 3 years of experience just off internships to where when it comes to getting you a job, you're good. I think that's the biggest issue that a lot of us face when we do some of these computer science or CIS or whatever type of computer degree. Is like, if you didn't get an internship, you don't have experience. And that's the biggest thing that people run into when they go from college. Like, man, I got all this stuff, but I don't have no experience. But what if I told you there's a way that you can actually show that you have experience without getting an internship? And that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about. So the next one is like, with college, they're going to introduce you to material that you may not be familiar with. And for the most part, you can go with, like, you look at your curriculum for your classes for your major. Check that out. It's going to have all these different classes. When you don't have a lot of experience, you have a section on your resume that says related coursework. So those courses should be in line with a role that you want to apply to. That's why I say, please research the curriculum. Because if the curriculum is out of date and those classes don't match up with the job that you want to do, it might not help you as much. That's the first thing. So related coursework, you get introduced to all these different classes that you can take, right? Now, the next thing that you can do that's pretty cool is projects. Now, most of our classes have these capstones, all these different projects you have to do where you have to get in teams. Please write these things down and detail them, because this is one of those ways when they ask about those soft skills about working with other teams, cross collaboration, and having a project, or tell me about the time you have to work on this, this, and this. Those projects will serve as that. And so if you can market those projects that you did, those will help you look very well when it comes to applying the roles, right? And also getting experiences. Now you take the stuff that you learned in those courses, those classes that you took, projects, and then work on your own projects on your free time. So I know I'm asking a lot of you, but that's what it takes to be competitive in the job market. Because sometimes while you're in school, those people who didn't go the traditional route, they're labbing all the time. And they are actually a little bit better than you because they don't have to worry about passing and failing. So that's one of those things that you have to run into when it comes to this. Organizations. So you have different organizations. You also have fraternities and sororities. And these things are pretty big because these are some people that may have people in their network that have certain jobs where you may get first dibs at it based on your affiliation. And that's why a lot of people join the frats and the sororities, because of that part. Also, you got, the community service aspect of it. But for the most part, I'm framing this about how it helps you get jobs and not necessarily like the other part. But those things are big and huge because, like I was talking about earlier about the networking piece, this kind of falls into that, to where if they know you, oh, okay, cool. You a Alpha, you a Q dog, you a Delta, you a AKA, you a Zeta, whatever. The person who is the hiring manager recruiter, sometimes that might be one of their affiliations, or you might be, they frat or soror or something. And they'll try to at least talk to you. I ain't gonna say it's gonna get you the job, but at least you get an interview, right? And here's another one: personal growth and commitment. Now, I talked about this earlier about kind of going through the program of like how hard it is to graduate with a bachelor's. Just think about the growth you go through going from a kid to a young adult. Yeah, I'll say a young adult. Like for me, I think about I went into school at 18, came out at 21. I definitely was not the same as I came in, went through a lot of different, trials, tribulations, and learned a lot of things about myself. I think that's one of those things too I would talk about if people should go into school, is the fact that you get to learn about yourself. a lot. Sometimes if you don't go to school, you don't learn enough about yourself early on, and you end up learning that stuff later on, which sometimes could be a benefit. Sometimes it just depends on how you are as a person. But you do learn a lot about yourself in those times when you're by yourself, when there's no one to tell you, hey, get up and go to class, get up and study. Hey, do this, do that, go get that book. That's all on you. And so these are the things that actually can prepare you for adulthood. I've actually talked about this in other podcast lessons about how college can prepare you for real life. So I think some employers may see people who graduated college as a little bit more mature as people who possibly didn't go through it because they didn't have to deal with the same things, typing up papers, doing this, doing that, having these deadlines, 3-4 classes, all these different things. You may be working at the same time. So it's a lot of stuff that some people that maybe your same age don't have that same maturity level unless they had a harder life. That's what I would just say. Also, a good one, achievement. You now can have BA by your name. For me, Bachelor's of Science in Computer Information Systems from Louisiana Tech University. They can never take that away from me. No matter what, I have that and I have a master's. And also, one of the things about going to school is if you do want to go into a management path or upper leadership, whatever you want to do, most of those people have master's degrees, PhDs. It's hard unless they're the people that started the company for them to ascend like that. Those are some of the ways that going to school can prepare you for success in your professional journey, right? Now, I want to give like a brief intermission right here and say, it's been pretty hard, for people to get into cybersecurity right now. And if you're not trying to go to college, I would suggest you check out Course Careers. Course Careers has a tech sales course and of course has an IT course by Josh Madakor. And I've heard great things about it. I have a lot of clients that's used the course. And if you want to learn some baseline IT skills so you can get you an entry-level job, then go ahead and use the link on the screen. Well, actually, it'll be in the description. You can click on it, use my code Techtual50 to get $50 off your course and get started on your IT career today. Now, I brought the intermission in because I made a post recently about how when it comes to people trying to get entry-level roles, specifically in cybersecurity, the remote roles are drying up drastically. And this is even for mid-level and senior level, right? So I told them, hey, if you want to get in, these roles are all open because people don't want to go into the office. So a nugget is if you want to go ahead and get your foot in the door and you want to succeed in your career, go ahead and go into office. Don't be scared about going into office. Get your experience up. And then once your skills warrant you to be remote, you can go remote. You can do whatever you want to. Now, I'm going to go back to some of the bullet points. One of the bullet points I had was about school was that you still want to make sure you do your due diligence when it comes to curriculum, price, reputation, even teachers that they have teaching there, just the teaching styles, how easy is it? You want to do your due diligence on all that before you spend any money, because this is a huge investment that you're going to have to pay back one way or another. So that's just me being honest. And I did some slight research for you guys. So I looked up last night. I was like, what are the top 5 affordable bachelor IT degrees? And this came from research.com. And I think they were basing this off a credit hour. So I'm not going to read how much it costs per credit hour, but I will give you the 5 universities. I also will have this link in the description so you guys can check it out yourself. It's Fort Hays State, Limestone College, Lamar University, Eastern New Mexico, and Central Methodist. So those are the 5 IT programs that are pretty much affordable when it comes to trying to get into college. But let's see. I had some other stuff I want to tackle into. Give me a second. I hope you guys found that information helpful. Like I said, I don't want to seem like I'm always against schooling. I'm just really against being practical with your money and your time and how you can make the best of it. So I'm a person, I tweeted this a while back, I'm a firm believer in getting your first entry-level IT role, then going back to school. That way you can get tuition reimbursement so they can help pay for it. That way you're not on the hook for everything. So here's a good play. I did the ad earlier for Course Careers. So you do Course Careers. Let's say you get an entry-level IT job, find a company that you like, do tuition reimbursement there. And let's not forget, if it's going to be your first time going into school, then you also will get your FAFSA. So you possibly get a Pell Grant and whatever other grants that you may get, to where you may pay very low to little for your first bachelor's, right? So I just want you to keep that in mind so that you can just use all this information I'm giving you to the benefit. Like I said, 13 years ago, yeah, I went to school 2010. I didn't have all this information at my disposal. It was very gatekept. It was just, hey, get TOPS. For those of you who aren't from Louisiana, TOPS is a scholarship to where if you get a 20 on your ACT, that you'll get TOPS. And so that essentially pays for, I forgot how much TOPS is a year, but it'll pay for like your tuition or whatever. Then it was TOPS, get your Pell Grant, get your Go Grant. It was something else, get a work study job. But that I was in school for 3 years and a quarter. Yeah. 3 years and a quarter, because I graduated in the fall quarter of 2013. Yeah. So I was there, but I didn't really get any real experience. Like I had some projects, even in my resume class, they didn't tell us, hey, for your capstones or whatever, use those as projects to talk about. So these are things I've also talked about on my, 5 resume mistakes, like don't make these mistakes video. So all I'm trying to do is give you guys information. I don't want you guys to feel like I'm just against schooling, because I know a lot of y'all say the people telling us not to get certs and going to school, they got certs and went to school. Right. I agree with that sentiment. But at the same time, back then it just was different. You had to move just that way. Now it's gotten a little different because people have been burned by all these people that tend to just act like they know what they're doing. So that's what I'll say. Now, there was some other tech news in here that I saw. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I want to put this on the screen or not. I think the biggest one that everyone would want to hear about is this. Check this out. Toyota confirms another years-long data leak, this time exposing at least 260,000 car owners. 2 weeks ago, Toyota said it exposed the data of more than 2 million customers to the internet for a decade. Today, the automotive giant said it recently discovered that the data of another 260,000 car owners spilling from its systems. Toyota said in a statement that it identified another batch of exposed data that was potentially accessible externally due to a misconfiguration of its connected cloud service, which allows Toyota customers to get internet services in their vehicles, such as information about their vehicle, in-car entertainment, and assistance in the event of a car accident or breakdown. The car maker said it learned of misconfiguration after conducting a wide investigation of its cloud environments after admitting earlier this month that customer data was accessible by anyone from the wider internet. Today, Toyota said the newly discovered exposed data include in-vehicle device identifiers and mapping data that is displayed on the car's navigation systems of customers in Japan, but that information alone does not contain location information and cannot reveal or identify customers. Toyota customers may be affected if they bought a vehicle as far back as December 2007, and their data was exposed between February 2015 and May 2023. The car maker said it would notify with a separate apology customers whose information was exposed. Toyota also confirmed that an unknown number of customers outside of Japan, specifically in Asia and Oceania, had personal information exposed between October 2016 and May 2023. All right. I read that to say Toyota messed up, but it didn't specify if it was anybody in the U.S. It mostly said outside of Japan, some in Asia and Oceania. So I want to assume that we should be good if you have a Toyota device, but you just never know. I mean, always got to be safe. I've seen now the Toyota, one of their headquarters is actually in Plano. So sometimes they're hiring people. They used to go through all the time of having contract people. So I don't even know what they're doing at this point, as far as when it comes to hiring. Like, is it still contract people, or they got a solid team though? That could be a red flag for me. It's like, if all the people that y'all hiring are contractors, how do y'all get any consistency over there on your program? So that was one I saw. Let's see one of these other ones that I seen. So I think this past week, this was a big one. CISA orders government agents to patch MOVEit bug used for data theft. CISA has added an actively exploited security bug in a Progress MOVEit transfer managed file transfer MFT solution to its list of known exploited vulnerabilities, ordering U.S. federal agencies to patch their systems by June 23rd. The critical flaw is track to CVE 2023-34362 is an SQL injection vulnerable. The critical flaw tracked at CVE 2023-34362 is an SQL injection vulnerability that enables unauthenticated remote attackers to gain access to Move It Transfers database and execute arbitrary code. Interesting. I'm going to scan through here some more. Let me see. Those who cannot immediately apply security updates can also disable all HTTP and HTTPS traffic to their Move It Transfer environments to remove. You can find a list of affected Move It Transfer versions and fixed versions in the table embedded below. Okay. Currently, there are more than 2,500 Move It Transfer servers on the internet, most of which are in the United States. Mass exploitation and broad data theft has occurred over the past few days. Carmichael told Bleeping Computer, although many does not yet know the motivation of the threat actor, organizations should prepare for potential extortion and publication of stolen data. Like I said, another day, another breach. This stuff is pretty interesting. I try to find stuff that may affect some people in their personal lives as well. I know I seen one about like scammers using like government websites like to try to get money out of people. But I don't know if that one's gonna be that good to talk about. This is probably like an improv part of the last part of the episode that I'm doing on these solo things is talking to either potential clients or people that are currently in their job search now, like maybe like a tip every day, right? So here's some job search tips. I'm recording this right now on Sunday, but typically Sunday afternoon may be one of the better times for you to prospect, look at jobs you want to apply to, and then apply to them on Sunday. So now when you wake up Monday morning as early as you can, that's when you start sending those emails out to those recruiters, and you just tell them simple stuff about you, like saying, hey, I'm interested in this role. This is the rec, and send it in a note. I'm only saying it fast because I've showed this on certain videos. But like I said, it's super competitive out here now. Everybody's trying to get in and get out. What about you is going to stand out? What about you is going to help you get that interview? And that's what you got to think about, right? If you are constantly applying to jobs and not getting hit up, like just nothing's happening, it's your resume. Come see me. It's your resume. Even if I don't do your resume for it, I at least would review it very quickly and tell you like off jump, yeah, your resume is not good. And also, I've worked with people, and I saw this video. The guy was like, why you technically shouldn't get like a professionally made resume. I work with people who've gotten resumes done by resume writers, but since they aren't like tech focused or maybe not having done a lot of tech resumes, they do not help sell the person that's in the tech role skills. Therefore, the resume still isn't a hit. The foundation and stuff of it is okay, but it's not giving what it needs to when it comes to getting a recruiter's attention. So I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that you need to be intentional about your job search, about what's on your LinkedIn profile, about what jobs you apply to, about not just taking any job just because you just need another job. I want you to really put in the work. I want you, hey, if you're looking at these job descriptions and you got the bare minimum skills, learn some skills, put some money up, get a credit card, whatever you got to do. Do that to help your career out, because as time progresses, a lot of the simpler, manual, tedious roles that out here, those roles are going to be filled up by a lot of AI and other things. So you have to find out how to have a better skill set so you can always remain marketable in the job market. So that's one of the things I would just tell you. Those are like some of my textual tips for you guys in the job search. I mean, there's more. Like I said, I do have financing. I'm working with a lot of clients right now, and I'm really excited because I got some good clients, and I'm hoping that everything works well to where they actually land something pretty fast. And I think they will. We're switching strategies. I'm learning different things so I can help everyone out so they can get to where they need to go. But if you enjoyed this episode, please let me know in the comments. Please let me know if I, missed out on anything or something that you wanted me to touch on. I got a banging episode that should be coming to you guys next week. I'm telling you, I am, applying pressure all 2023. Ain't nothing you can do to stop me. So appreciate everybody for rocking with me. It's your boy HD. And like I always say, let's stay textual, and I'm out.